3 terrifying true summertime horror stories. 1. The Vanishing Camper. In the summer of 2002, a group of college friends, Mark, Jenna, Alex, and Lisa, planned a weekend camping trip in California's Sequoia National Forest. They were experienced hikers and picked a remote spot, far from the usual campsites. The first night. The first evening was perfect. Bonfire, ghost stories, and beers. Around midnight, Lisa excused herself to use the bathroom, a designated area in the woods. She took a flashlight and walked about 50 yards away. That was the last time anyone saw her. 15 minutes passed, then 20. Mark went to check on her, calling her name, but she didn't respond. He found her flashlight lying on the ground near the bushes, its beam still on. But no Lisa. The search. The group panicked and searched for hours, yelling her name. Nothing. By morning, they hiked back to their car and drove to the nearest ranger station. A search and rescue team combed the forest for a week. No body, no clothing, no sign of struggle. The creepy part. A year later, a hiker found Lisa's camera, half buried under some leaves nearly 20 miles from their campsite. The last few photos were normal, the campfire, selfies, the woods. But the final image? A blurry photo of Lisa, seemingly terrified, eyes wide, staring at something behind the camera. To this day, Lisa has never been found. The Lake House Intruder. In 2015, Matt and his girlfriend Sarah rented a secluded lake house in Maine for a week-long summer getaway. The house sat on a private property, surrounded by dense woods, with the nearest town miles away. Strange signs. On their second night, Sarah woke up to the sound of shuffling footsteps outside their bedroom window. She nudged Matt awake, but by the time he checked, nothing was there. He brushed it off as a deer or raccoon. The next morning, they found muddy footprints leading from the woods to their window. Barefoot prints. The second night. At 3 a.m., Matt awoke to the distinct creak of a floorboard inside the house. He froze. Sarah was still sleeping beside him. Heart pounding, he reached for the baseball bat they had brought. A soft whisper came from the hallway. Not words, just a breathy, raspy sound. Matt bolted out of bed and flipped the lights on. No one was there, but the front door? Slightly open. They locked it before bed. The discovery. Freaked out, they left the house at dawn. The next day, the owner called them. The police had found a small crawl space in the house's basement. Inside, a dirty sleeping bag, old food wrappers, and a notebook filled with incoherent scribbles. Whoever had been living there had been watching them the entire time. 3. The Man in the Tent. In the summer of 2018, Jake, a 24-year-old solo backpacker, set out on a 3-day hiking trip in the Appalachian Mountains. He carried a tent, supplies, and a bait knife for protection. The first night. After hiking 12 miles, Jake found a clearing and set up his tent. That night, as he lay inside, he heard twigs snapping. Outside. He assumed it was an animal, until he noticed that the footsteps were slow, deliberate, human. He held his breath, listening. The footsteps circled his tent. Then, a whisper. "I see you." Jake lunged for his knife. But by the time he unzipped the tent and jumped out, there was nothing but trees and silence. The second night. Spooked but determined, he continued his hike the next day. He camped deeper in the woods, hoping to avoid whoever or whatever was out there. But that night, he woke up to the sound of heavy breathing. When he unzipped his tent, he found deep, human footprints leading straight to his campsite, but none walking away. Something, or someone, had stood outside his tent, just breathing, watching, but never left. The escape. At dawn, he packed his gear and hiked non-stop for 10 hours until he reached his car. When he looked back at the trail before driving away, he saw something. A figure standing at the tree line, staring at him. Jake never went camping alone again. These stories prove that summer isn't just for sunshine and relaxation. Sometimes it's when the real nightmares begin.